Uh, Go ahead, start it, Dennys.
What? What's that sound? It's aliens and they're living in your town. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in.
It is the Weird and Whatever podcast. How is everybody doing?
Doing great. Much better this week.
Doing better this week, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay, we got Ryan Beckett in the house. How the hell are you?
Doing great.
Very good. You seem great. That's nice.
The hair is back.
The hair is back. You had your hair was a little disheveled last week for you.
It's a little limp.
Vicky, how the heck are you doing?
Much better, much better.
Very good. Were you in a funk too last week?
I was in a funk, yeah.
I think, was everybody in a funk here except for Dennys?
We were feeding off each other's energy.
Yeah.
It was weird because I was talking to Virginia last week and she was in a funk.
For sure.
I was in a little bit of a funk. Maybe there was something
I think
going
even
down.
Suits was in a funk. He was last week.
And Dennys, how are you doing? Are you ever in a funk?
I get him from time to time. I can usually shake him pretty quickly.
What puts Dennys in a funk?
If I mess up a bit on air, that always puts me in a funk.
Work-related stuff?
Work-related stuff mainly. If I make a bad call or I say something I shouldn't have to somebody and it hurts somebody's feelings, that would put me in a funk.
Can you be in a funk and it just be outside sources? For example, last night I slept terrible. I've been in kind of a crabby mood all day today. Is that because I'm tired, or is there something, are there other things in life that are making people moody?
Ooh, I think it's everything.
Yeah, and I think we've covered a little bit of that before.
Yeah. No, it could be everything. It could be you're hungover. It could be a relationship. It could be something at work.
All the above?
Yeah.
All the above.
And some people are empathic, so you actually take on the emotions of other people.
Ooh, I had my reading that I had. They said I was an empath.
Okay, there you go.
That's why maybe when I get into relationships, I usually am good at brushing off the feels. I think when I get the feels, like I have certain girls, I think if you asked if I dated and they were like, Ryan's not cuddly, like Ryan's not like emotional. But like my girlfriends are like, oh my God, Ryan was the girl in their relationship.
Well,
For sure, and we're exposed to a lot of hostility these days because you get news from around the world. If you were in like a small colony that was peaceful, you probably wouldn't get as uptight about stuff.
well, doing this kind of, stuff with the radio, you always have to be plugged into social media. If you're not plugged in, you really get in trouble. I feel like social media, with everything, there's good, there's also bad. It can create, and I'm not talking anything political. I'm just saying in general, all that stuff, it's still communication. That can create a weird atmosphere for sure.
Yeah, when I came off the show, some of my friends took a different strategy. I didn't read. Well, I was guilty maybe of reading some stuff, but
You talk about The Bachelorette?
Yeah. After The Bachelorette and after Bachelor of Paradise, I made it a point to do my best to not read comments.
Oh yeah.
Because for as many, because as many good ones, there's some ones that are like absolutely brutal.
There's that saying, well, don't believe all the great stuff about you. Don't believe all the bad stuff about you. Somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
Totally.
Well, I go ahead, Ryan. I'm going to cut you off.
I was just gonna say, like, I think that's a good angle because I had one buddy that came off the show and he got kind of a little vilified, to end the show, and he would go through Twitter and respond to every single person.
How did he approach it?
Then
though?
he posted a picture of him like burning hate mail, like sitting in a chair, like it's so dramatic.
I do stuff like that though, but the reason why, like, I don't know if Dennys does it. Me and Virginia will do that sometimes. It creates content for the show.
Yeah.
If you get into something with somebody, we've had several segments where we've read off Virginia's fights with people. It can be entertaining.
I think if you have the mental fortitude to do it, then you can do it.
You can't take it seriously. A lot of times, people that are trolling you. How do you know it's not some 14-year-old kid that's doing that?
Right.
Or some dude that's waiting at a stoplight and he's just like, weak.
Yeah.
The one thing I do want to open up the podcast with, I got a very exciting announcement. I would like to officially say and invite Vicky to be a permanent member on the Weird and Whatever podcast.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And we're talking your picture on
the logo.
Yes,
Wow,
yes.
thank you.
And I do want to give a shout out for our intern, who's not even an intern anymore. She's about to get a job here.
She's now co-worker Angelica.
Yeah, she's running our KVJ TV, the TV here, Angelica. A lot of people didn't even realize that you could watch this. This is on YouTube. Go to Weird and Whatever underneath the KVJ show, and you can watch watch all of this. There's a visual element to it. I think people are just thinking it's just a downloaded thing where you
Just an
listen to your
audio.
car.
Stepping up our game. There's so many podcasts that are really popular podcasts that have no video option at all.
Yeah. We got a video option.
Coming up, we'll have 3D. We're gonna be like a hologram.
We are personally gonna have 3D. No, I know you're smoking something. We barely got 2D. Do you accept the offer?
Yes, thank you very much.
Look at that. Look at that. And then the foursome was born. I want to start off with you were talking about something with love spells. Now, I didn't tell Ryan any of this because I wanted to kind of blindside him. Because it's funny. Somebody actually wrote in to the show that said, "Dear Weird and Whatever, what are your guys' thoughts on spells? I was cursed by a witch a year ago. I laughed it off at first, but I've noticed my life has turned to major shit ever since. I lost my job, my girlfriend, my dad within 6 months of this curse. Is this a coincidence or are spells real? If they are, how do I break the curse?" They're asking. Vicky, let's go to you.
Well, first of all, that's all ties into what I had planned for this week. And I was going to throw the curses in there too, because I've actually had clients contact me and think that they had a curse put on them. And I say, well, what makes you think that? Because most curses, they can't even begin to be effective unless you are told. Because I believe most curses are simply in your mind.
It's more of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy because you are thinking about something negative, you're going to bring negative to you.
For sure.
Because energies attract like energies.
I knew a girl back in high school, and she flat out put a spell on me, and shit went bad real quick. Was that in my head? Because I knew Jason, you are going to have nothing but evil towards you.
Right. I personally believe it's just because you kind of switch your mindset and your energy, and you attract that negativity.
Dude, it's just like The Secret.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I like that. There's no... Barring, not something like The Secret, is there something, okay, let's say I was into voodoo. Could I put a spell on Beckett where I have his hair turn into hay, and that's my thing?
How about a good spell?
Well,
That would bum you out, though, right?
that kind of
That
sucks.
would ruin your
I mean,
week.
he's got great hair.
Yeah, it'd be
but
a bummer.
is there a difference between having stuff in your head and being the self-fulfilling prophecy, or is there really something outside source that throws it there and makes shit happen?
There are some people that believe if you are involved in certain types of voodoo, Santeria, things like that, that you can put something on somebody. But the good part about that is people who are more knowledgeable in that area will tell you that it's very difficult to keep a curse on someone. And again, that person has to know that they are cursed, because you have to have that mental element involved for it to work.
The chick that cursed me, she's like, no, you are going to have bad. And because there was a rumor that she was a witch. And it got out that people were discussing that. And she goes, I am a witch. You want to see me become a witch? And then she put a curse.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's actually science behind this, because they've done a lot of, like, for example, like medical studies where they study a control group with a placebo.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
there's effects of placebo where people were just getting a sugar pill and like it was supposed to make them smarter and they feel smarter, or like, whatever the case may be.
Back in the day, Kevin in Virginia gave an intern. This is before I was on the show. They were just pounding him with O'Doul's beer, the non-alcoholic beer, just to see what he would do. And you're right, he had no idea. He was acting like he was falling over.
That's great.
Was he acting, or did he really think he was drunk?
Power of the mind.
Power of the mind.
I know. So, can somebody get a spell taken off?
Well,
You have
I'm not
to
an
seek
I'm not an
somebody out?
expert on that, but if they think they have a spell on them, go ahead and give me a call, and I can verify what the issue is, and we'll go from there.
Palm readings, what are your thoughts on that? Do they have any validity, or are they just a bunch of hocus pocus?
People do a lot of different things when it comes to psychic ability. It could be just the simple fact that they're touching you in order to look at your palm, and they're picking up on the energies. I don't particularly believe in the lines, because if you look at most of our palms, you're going to have very similar lines. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, most people have similar lines on their palm.
It's how your hands crease.
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of if they touch your hand during the palm reading, they're picking up on your energy that way.
Okay, it's not about me. I've heard him talk about, oh, no, the line. See, if the line breaks here, Beckett's going to have 3 children. But if it breaks here, it means he's going to, they have all these theories.
Yeah.
But there is an art to it, though,
There is an art to it.
There
There are
is.
people that totally believe in that. But according to my hand, I should have been married a long time ago, so my hand lied. So, yeah.
I hear you. Let's talk a little bit about Mars. any shot that you think Mars had some type of life on there before, and what Mars really is Earth? I mean, what's going to happen to Earth in the future?
Like we were there and then we left because it's barren.
Yes, because there's a new scientist that says, 3 billion years ago, Mars had the capability of sustaining life. It had the
for
water.
sure, just by the way the galaxy or everything's moving. But you wonder if they have the technology to go from point A to point B through space, wouldn't they also document? That would be your only concern, is that there's no documentation.
Well, they've got this. I believe it's called. Yeah, it's called the. Hold on, give me a second. Curiosity. It's the first rover that can drill for samples of Mars and analyze them in a built-in lab, and this lead NASA engineer is saying it is without a doubt possible. Is that what space is? Just life going to each little planet, and as soon as it all just kind of ends, they go to the next one?
I don't know, but like Denny said, what kind of proof do you have that there was life form and they had the capability to move to another planet if it took us so long to be able to travel in space?
We would document. You wonder if maybe they went extinct because the planet died, and then now that we're in the right spot, we are now a planet.
I don't think it would be humans that would do it. I think there might be a different species that might have come down to Earth. I don't know. Beckett, you're awfully quiet.
I just Googled and it says the search for life on Mars is about to get weird.
Written by Bird.
But yeah, so I thought for some reason that they had found like a fossil or something.
They
on
always
Mars.
find it's like they'll have a big story. Oh, they found this, and it's a little piece of bacteria where it's not sexy.
So all they've done is they've confirmed that a long, long time ago that the conditions were appropriate for life on Mars. Is what they've
Yes.
confirmed. Okay.
But if you had a gun to your head and they said, "All right, Beckett, do you think there was life on Mars 3 billion years ago?" What's your answer?
I would say yes.
You would say yes.
I would say, do I think humans were there and they jumped to Earth? I would say no.
I would agree with that.
I would say that are there fossils and like little weird like organisms and stuff that were because there was supposedly water. They found evidence of that. And there was a gun to my head. And if I was right, I would say yes.
You have to give us an answer.
I would say yes.
Well, that just shows you how little we know, because I found this article about a new type of element they found. It's dark energy. It's a new thing that they've literally just stumbled upon. And I mean, given right now, it's in the hypothesis.
Well, give us a little taste. Break it down.
Well, so it's a new study to reveal the nature of dark energy, a mysterious substance that is pushing the universe to expand outwards. It's essentially it is born from nothingness. So that just shows you in a galaxy that something can be created from nothing.
Vicky, you made a face. What are your?
Interesting. I wonder if you can tie that. The rest, I'll have to look that article up later. I was just wondering if you could tie that. Are they tying it at all into negative things at all, or just that it came from nothing?
Came from nothing.
That's why they
it's
call
a
it
new
the
type
dark.
of matter, I guess. Dark energy.
There's
it's
some
like
weird
energy
shit
born
out
from
there.
nothing.
Bill Nye has talked about that. I'm a big Bill Nye fan.
Are ya?
He's awesome.
What are your comments on that? He is a fake ass scientist.
Really?
Some people, because
Yeah, right. He backs up his
He's
That's
So-
just people trolling him.
He's a
Yeah. It
celebrity.
It doesn't get any more legit than Bill Nye. I mean, there might be smarter scientists that are down
For
in a lab
sure.
somewhere, but he's definitely a legitimate scientist.
Do you guys
For
remember?
sure.
You guys remember Mr. Wizard?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a clip online. You guys
pretty
have
awesome.
to check out. It's called "Mr. Wizard is a Dick," and it shows
Through
how
the course of all his series,
Yeah.
his entire career he's so mean to kids.
every time he snaps at kids is on this collage. It's pretty
a
awesome.
kid will do something wrong. I mean, what do you think the answer is? He
He's
really
like-
comes down on.
He's
him.
like, no, that's dumb. That was a dumb answer. You're like, oh
funny.
my God.
Do you guys know what blood type you are?
Yes.
What are you?
O positive.
O positive.
I honestly have no idea. That's
What?
really bad. I know that's
you
really
don't know
bad.
what blood you are.
No, I've never had any kind of surgeries or anything. I never bothered to check.
Never stitches.
Wow.
No.
I'm a freak. I have a concierge doctor. I do blood tests every quarter. I've done Ancestry.com. I've done 23andMe. I know my muscle fiber type.
Who's the most famous person you're related to?
I think supposedly Thomas Becket. He was
Okay.
like
Oh, the great Thomas Becket?
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
He was the English martyr that got beheaded by Henry VIII, I think.
Oh.
Damn.
Oh,
'Cause
now
he-
you're talking my stuff.
He wouldn't annul the marriage.
But you know what though? Okay, so they did that stuff with me, and I'm supposed to be related to Billy the Kid. My family is, but I don't believe that.
That makes
shit.
sense.
I could see that. Actually, I could see that.
And she's the medium, and she can see it.
I can see that.
Well, they're saying that there's a like a rare blood type that humans have, and it's only, I guess, 15% of humans. It's called, okay, so they say there's 4 types of blood: A, B, A, B. So it's A, it's B, it's A, B, and then it's O. And now they're saying there is this Rh positive, very like a. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that?
Well, it's probably the counterpart to the Rh negative. That would be
Because all
my
of those
assumption.
have negative and positive values
Right.
as well.
Sounds like we're doing math class right now. I hear you. But what do you think they're saying? The people who have this blood, what do you think that this article is about?
It must be about maybe psychic ability or something like that.
They're saying people who have this blood type, the reason why it's so rare is because they are from some type of alien species.
Okay.
I don't think that's that out of the
Are
realm.
they like indigo children type thing?
Well, maybe that is why some people are able to see ghosts and other people can't.
Yeah.
They might be more susceptible
It's
to
an interesting
vibration.
theory.
It's a theory.
I also think that it's interesting that sometimes we see purgatories of evolution. Like for wisdom teeth, for example. Some people, their wisdom teeth come in, everything's totally normal.
people don't.
Some people, there's no room in their mouth, and they have to have them surgically, a guy go in there with a knife and cut them out. And now some kids are born without wisdom teeth. And they say that our mouth is going more towards a beak and smaller. So that's just a
Same with our
purgator-
pinkies.
What's happening with our pinkies?
Well, they've been getting smaller ever since the time. Supposedly our hands were much larger because we had to grab and carry larger things.
I don't know, man.
Now we use tool chests.
Some guys have to grab larger things than others.
Okay, I don't have very big pinkies. I'll leave it at that. Okay, that's an interesting comment. Dennys, what are your thoughts?
About what? We've hit so many topics here.
Way to pay attention. Brian, what were you?
I jumped in on with pinkies and I get berated. So, I mean,
I hit him with the penis joke.
I was talking with somebody who's big into science, and they were saying the science community is projecting humans to be 7 feet, 8 feet.
Totally.
Not right down.
Makes
10
sense.
years from now, but
Look how small people used to be.
Yeah.
they were small. But wasn't George Washington pretty tall? I thought he was like 6'2".
Well, he was a mutant for his time.
He was a mutant.
Supposedly Henry Wallace was 6'8". The guy from
Braveheart.
Braveheart. Yeah.
6, really?
Yeah.
Braveheart. Have you seen that movie before?
Mm-mm.
Oh
you
my
gotta
gosh,
see it. It's a classic.
Braveheart.
Yeah.
but
the
over there, the conditions are different. They're taller people in general.
Right. Well, yeah. They say they're cool because you're a first world country. Like like nutrition's better and everything like that too.
But to go back on that whole Mars thing, just this NASA person saying that some people believe that Mars is the old Earth. Just to throw that out
Interesting. I actually listened on NPR. NASA's sending a thing to the sun, and it's going to get within a certain distance where it has to go up to some ridiculous 1,000 degrees centigrade, and it's going to study the sun.
there. The thing I hate when people say is we know more about space than we do our own ocean. That's horse shit. What are they talking about? Do big space? NASA doesn't even know when a meteorite's coming and whizzing by.
Yeah.
What are they talking
Oh,
about?
you
Fair.
remember that story? I was trying to find it. Given you get on the internet sometimes and you find something, you can never ever find it again. It's the craziest thing.
That is weird.
But there was I guess there was a meteorite that was going to collide with the Earth, and they were debating whether to tell anyone about this or not. Ethically, they wanted to, but at the same time, that whole sector was going to die. But fortunately, last minute, it did swoosh out.
If you only had a year left and a meteorite was coming to destroy all of us, do you want to know?
100%.
You do 100%? Or,
Yeah.
or is ignorance bliss
Well,
on
this
this?
was over the span of 3 days. That's all the notice there was.
There's no benefit to not knowing.
You think?
Oh man. Are you
Well,
kidding?
mass hysteria.
That's
imagine
just it.
imagine the poor guy that's saving all his money and socking
Yeah,
it
who
away.
gives a
shit about
You're gonna
that
get
guy?
blown up.
Who cares about him and his
I'm
money?
just saying that would really suck because that's like a Alanis Morissette song, isn't it ironic? He's save
Well, doesn't it kind of just go with the whole thing? Maybe you should live every day like it's your last. And I don't mean that saying, go have sex unprotected with 9 hookers. But I mean,
if the world was ending in a year, maybe that's what you do.
I think it's what happens to old people that are 89,
Yeah.
90 years old. I think they have sex and don't care what happens if they get any kind of disease.
Well,
They say
that
that the largest occurrence of VD is in retirement homes.
I mean, if you're 80,
disgusting.
If you're 88
That'd be
years
rough.
If you're 88 though, and you get
Oh, I'd
something,
be
you're just like, oh, whatever.
hanging brain
I-
constantly.
I mean, I could be taken out by a blink at that point. I
Yeah.
mean no disrespect by that, by the way. Yeah, I got another email here. We were talking about mental disorders last week. Remember how we kind of got into that? So it says, Dear Weird and Whatever, regarding mental disorders, part of being diagnosed with a mental disorder requires impairment and or distress. So if someone has trouble concentrating, because I believe we're talking about the whole ADHD and stuff, if someone's having trouble concentrating, but it's not impairing or distressing, then it's not diagnosable. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's just a human trying to project something that's subjective, and I think that other experts might agree or disagree with that assessment. It's hard to say. Like, that's what we said about ADD. It's probably a real thing, just like depression is, and
For
some
sure.
people have a tough time.
On the spectrum.
Some people deal with it.
Right, exactly. But unlike certain diseases, you can't take a blood test for it. You can't have an ultrasound and show it definitively, and it's just hard because then we try to put like psychology. As important as I think psychology is, and as real as it is, two psychologists may approach something.
You just got to take it with a grain of salt.
Oh, and
100%.
I believe that was a psychologist that emailed
Really?
us. So yeah, we got a couple doctors listening. No big deal. We got a credible psychic on here. We got bachelor. We got some legit stuff. I do want to talk about this love spell. We're talking about spells today,
Oh,
kind of a
yes.
theme. What is this? And Vicky told me she's going to do it to you and to me.
Okay,
No, you
I'm
guys
down.
have to do it yourself.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you have to do
I
it.
know. I didn't ask too many questions. I didn't want it to be tainted.
Okay.
Take
Okay,
the
well, what
floor.
happened is I was on Facebook one day and I clicked on this thing and it said love spells, right? Well, the first one I came across, I don't really think it's a love spell. I think it's like a spell how to get laid because it's the easiest one you do. You take a red sheet of paper and you put the person that you're interested in, you put their name on it, and then you write all the attributes about them that you like, and then you take the paper and you burn it. Okay, and in 7 days, you invite them over to your place and serve them an alcoholic beverage containing rum or vodka.
What?
Yeah, that was one that that
Dude,
was
you
the
guys
first
writing
one.
this down?
Dark rum or light rum?
Your choice.
Was this the guy to be creepy? You doing all that research? Imagine if you did that and a girl found out that's what you did. You wrote her all that shit on a page. You're burning it. You had this plan. But if
You and
don't
I
tell her
automatically
ever.
now you and I can't do it because people have heard it.
people think I'm
Nobody
crazy
will,
anyway.
nobody will know if you did it or
Yeah,
not.
no one.
They'll
yeah.
know 7 days from now if you give them a call.
Right,
So
exactly.
is that legit?
I don't know that one. So
That's
it
a goofy
actually,
ha-ha one, right?
I think. But what I did is that sparked me to go look at other things. And when you think about it, it's not too far off. There's a ceremony. It's based with shamans, and you take all the bad things in your life and you write them on little stickies. And then you have a fire, and then you take all those things and you throw them in the fire and you put them back into the universe and away from you. So really and truly, some of these spells are not much different than doing that. Getting rid of the negative. Instead, you're asking for the positive to come in.
But to me, and I'm not at all trying to be a skeptic on this, but that just sounds like more of you're making yourself feel better. You're tricking.
Exactly.
You're tricking yourself.
Because I don't believe in these spells myself.
Okay, because that's the because we actually legitimately have people emailing saying, I got someone sick right now, because we talked about last week how that little boy had the tumor and the woman brought the healer in,
Right.
and so many people are saying, where does she get a healer? Where do healers come from? And that was a question for you. How do you trust a healer? Because when people have someone, a loved one, they're dying, they're desperate. They're
Yeah.
going to do
They are.
whatever. You tell them to rub chocolate on their ass, they're going to do that thinking
Right.
that's going to help. I guess, is there a Yelp for healers?
Well, the first thing I would look for if somebody is going to be a healer, the first thing, and some people may shoot me for this, I'm going to look for somebody that's going to do it for free.
I agree.
Because you're talking about someone's life, especially if that's the situation. I'd want somebody who was bringing positive energy and doing it just so that they can help you, and not to charge.
Because if you're trying to save someone's life like that, and you're into all that, why are you punching a clock?
Right.
Why are you going to do that? And you don't do that, correct?
Correct. I
As,
don't charge.
as far as I think that's why people are, they're saving money by going to you, but I think that's why people are, I get a lot of emails now that people love what you're saying, and people that have gone to you as well. I think a big part of that is they are trusting because you're not charging.
Right. And there's cases with like paranormal teams. They go in and they say, for $1,200 we'll cleanse your house, and they guarantee the same ghost won't come back. Well, they're not going to be able to verify whether that's the same ghost or not that comes back to your house.
Fine
So that's their
line.
hook because they say the same ghost. Anything when it comes to now, I'm not saying that no psychic should ever charge for anything. I'm not saying that
Because they have to make a living, and I
have to make a
totally
living.
get that.
Time is valuable.
Yes.
You know, and I do spend a lot of time outside of my regular job doing things like this, but I do it to help people. I do it to make them feel good, and people do need guidance.
You're right.
And
You're-
sometimes that's just the best place to go. They feel more comfortable coming to me than they would going through their insurance company and going to a psychiatrist.
I know people that would rather go to a psychic than a psychiatrist, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you, did I ask you that before? You ever go to therapy?
Yes.
You did currently?
No.
Do you believe in it?
Yes, I do think that, I've done therapy for myself personally and a relationship I was in. And sometimes I get annoyed if they like, oh, your parents are divorced, because I feel like that's like lazy therapy. But because my parents didn't have a bad divorce or anything like that,
Yeah.
and I feel like
sometimes shit just happens,
and
no
I feel
one's
like that's
gonna be
like
fragile.
textbook like red
Oh,
meat for them to go
101.
after. But it's like a chiropractor, right? I think that some chiropractors are awesome, and some chiropractors can kind of mess you up. And I think that it's a lot more subjective with psychology and psychiatry. And I think that it's really important, but you need to find a really good one.
I think too. No, you're right. You have to find the right person, and I think with anything in life, you want to find someone that's passionate. Someone. I mean, I went to a therapist one time, and I caught them 3 different times looking at their watch.
It's terrible.
You got someone you're talking to who's got issues, and they're going to look at that, and they're going to say, "All right, this son of a bitch.
Right.
They don't want to listen to me."
Didn't you
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
a therapist once that after the session was done, they were asking you for advice about something?
Yeah, I was like,
It was
wait
like
a
right
minute.
after a session. It's like
I go,
it's-
I was the same guy talking about being afraid of going on the 7th story and having all those. You want advice from me?
I have a quick funny story. So in college,
Don't even make it quick. Let it breathe.
in college, I was diagnosed with ADD, and I didn't want to go on medication. So my doctor was like, well, why don't you go to this psychologist? She can teach you time management, study skills, and things like that. So like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. So I start going to the psychologist in this practice and whatever. And probably 4 or 5 weeks into the sessions, I got a letter. And goes, you've been dropped from the practice for failure to keep appointments and show up on time.
Oh, geez.
I was like, wasn't that what you were treating me for?
And you check that email a week later.
I should have framed that.
Yeah, he checked it a week later. Oh, no, it's just like anything in life. There's going to be shitty psychiatrists. There's going to be shitty psychics. There's going to be great ones,
It's all
too.
about passion, like
It's all,
you said.
It's all about passion.
But going back to the healing, again, if you call somebody in to help you for a healing, you're getting all that positive energy towards you. Just like the reverse of the curse, you're bringing in all these positive vibes going into whatever situation it is.
I would take a chance on a healer that's not charging, but it
Right.
would be awful to have someone come in there. You got a loved one. They go in there. They charge you 10 grand, whatever they're going
Right.
to charge you, and nothing changes. You're
Ugh.
like, okay, you're healing shit is what you're
Yeah.
healing. But yeah, we do get a lot of people talking about that. Do you have any recommendation as far as, is there anywhere somebody could go? Because I tried to get a hold of the woman that emailed me about the son and with the healing and all that, the kid that had the tumor. I haven't heard back from her or the father.
Right.
So, I want to give an answer to people who are out there that they're in a tough situation where their loved one's dying and they want to have somebody come in, because we had so many emails about the healing stuff. There was another psychiatrist that's listening, and they're studying all types of Eastern medicines that are a lot of more of I don't want to say potions, but
Herbs.
herbs and all that.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a spiritual ceremony.
Yeah.
Right.
It all makes sense. Like I always said, no matter exactly what I lean towards, like say it's Western medicine or more like the hippie side of it. If like say for example, God forbid I was diagnosed with cancer, I'd go get it cut out. I'd go get chemo. I'd go to China and I'd get Eastern medicine. I'd drink apple cider vinegar,
do
whatever.
them
Anyways,
all.
I would just
Oh.
do anything and
They
everything.
could say take cat poop and rub it on. I mean, if it's about your life, you're
Yeah.
going to do whatever it takes.
100%. I'll do anything.
And you would do that for your loved one.
Exactly.
If you have someone you love and you know they're dying, you're going to do whatever it takes to get them healed.
And I think that's why maybe you get a lot of healing emails, because people are in a desperate state when they're.
It's
in that-
sad. It does really honestly break my heart.
Yeah. So they're willing to try whatever, whether it's for themselves or their loved ones. It makes sense.
Did you guys bring your homework in?
Yeah.
Let's go around the room. Let's start with Vicky, the newest member of the program.
Okay. Well, I was trying to research different, cryptozoology things or whatever. But what I found interesting is
Not to interrupt you, but only because people get on me. It's cryptozoology, not
Okay.
zoo. Yeah, only because they'll get you.
Zo, okay.
And I have. And I'm
So
not
I've
trying
been-
to
I
interrupt
stand
you.
corrected.
I'm not trying to
Okay.
interrupt you by any means, but that is.
okay, strange creatures. We'll cover it that way. And what I noticed, I'm going through all these things and I'm looking at some of these TV shows and stuff. 90% of the stuff happens in West Virginia. What is up
Seems
with
to be a
West
hot
I
spot.
Virginia?
know. I was born there. I moved. My parents got me out of there at 3. I love West Virginia, but Florida, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on too. Like,
Yeah, but West Virginia
I've
kinda
lived in the
tops
2
it.
weirdest states.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, West Virginia, Kevin and Virginia always make fun of it. I just found an alien out here and it was having sex with Bigfoot. Every time we have a clip.
Wait, was that close? Was that the movie? What's it called that I brought up the other day?
That's the top of the dome. I just made that up.
No, that was that movie. What was that movie that I got freaked out where those guys were lumberjacks? And they
Oh,
got-
you're talking about
Deliverance?
no, Deliverance.
no, the
That was
movie
in
I
the
was
cell.
talking about.
Fire in the Sky.
Fire in the Sky. Was that West Virginia?
I can't remember. It was out in the woods.
Yeah.
You know.
So it was probably West Virginia.
Probably. All of the woods is. But what sucks is every time you have a clip, it's, oh man, I saw this Bigfoot, and I said, get Bigfoot, and it's the worst clip ever. I'm like, yep, those are my people.
You're like, ugh.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, we talked about like hauntings and stuff happening in certain locations. Is it all the coal mines that's in West Virginia that's causing all these things?
Lot of deaths
Is it
in
the
the coal
moonshine?
mines.
What is it?
I think it's boredom. And it's one of the worst economies. It's poor. It has one of the worst heroin epidemics in the country.
So you think when people see stuff, they're making it up because they're bored and they're just trying to get a little heat
People
going?
trying to get on TV.
I think that when there's low income and there's drug use, that there's a lot of weird stuff that happens.
Seeing weird stuff on drugs, maybe.
Yeah.
I hear
Yeah.
ya.
I mean, it's sad because it was steel industry, coal, and it was like, now it's what they call the Rust Belt, right? Because now like a lot of that stuff's left and is gone, and it's just really depressed.
Dennys, what do you got for us for some homework?
Well, so I found this really cool article that I'll share with you here.
Sounds like you're
Stretch for me. I didn't know I was
Sounds like
next.
You're ready to go. I said everyone get their homework out. You get your name on the board.
Oh, yeah?
Ryan, what do you have
You
for us?
get a check on the board.
I will ask you later, Mr. Dennys.
I got it, though.
Okay, what do you got?
All right, we'll see. So I found this really cool article about in Canada, water was coming out of the faucets like reddish orange.
All right.
And they did a study on it, and there's nothing wrong with it, but there's this new phosphate that is exposed near the aquifers that's causing the water to turn pink. It's called like a phosphate pomegranate.
Man, there's so many things on this planet where things are happening and nobody can explain why.
But imagine if that happened a long time ago and people came upon it without the knowledge of science.
Right.
They would be blown away by that. That would be like your village just got cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
I
would.
think a lot of stuff like that happened back in the day where a weather phenomenon would happen, but they didn't have Twitter, they didn't have the internet to explain what the hell's going on. I think a lot of times they thought it was end of days, man. Imagine being in the 1200s and some weird shit goes on. The moon alone's gonna freak you out.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I don't know exactly where this was, but I imagine, how the northeast of America borders right there on Canada. You wonder if, like, how, like, Amityville is known as, like, a place because of the house and stuff. You wonder if stories like that or people have gone crazy and this, literally, you thought blood was coming out of your faucets. That could cause you to go into a mania and, like, murder and stuff.
So maybe drink that stuff and you become crazy?
Well, no, because everything's normal about it, the pH and everything. It's just got it's next to a phosphate that bleeds a redness into the water. It affects your health not whatsoever. But like you see that.
So they say now.
Yeah, and if
Yeah.
you're a little imbalanced and you see this, you think you're going crazy now. This is like fortifying it. I was wondering if anyone has ever seen a case like this where this could have led to somebody going crazy or in the past thinking that like it was the end of time.
Well, I mean, they've got that one phenomenon where you'll be walking on the beach and it'll start raining fish. There's something that happens with the. I mean, imagine walking on the beach, it starts raining fish.
Is that from like tidal waves?
I'm not sure what it is, but they've got several cases of that. And someone called into the show one time and explained what it was. It was some weather phenomenon. But I mean, if you don't know what the hell's going on, it's raining fish. Shit, that scared me now.
Yeah,
I think some people think that was like tornadoes, and they picked up some of the animals, and then when the tornado dissipated, these things would start falling from the sky.
Yeah.
They'd fall from the sky.
I thought, I can't remember exactly what somebody said. If anyone knows listening out there, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And also, email us with some really weird, strange phenomena that you think we haven't hit yet.
Well, phenomenons are the coolest in my opinion, only because if you think back in the day to people who like couldn't tweet each other and spread knowledge, you would think that was the apocalypse. You would think that's a haunting. You would think somebody in the village was cursed. There's so many things that could be going on.
There is this one, and I'm going to butcher the story, but there's this, it's like this piping that's all through this mountain and underneath these water areas. And it's over out somewhere on the east. And I want to say it's out in China, but someone will correct me. But you get the gist of it. And scientists have gone back to this pipe, and nobody can figure out what this material is made of. There's nothing on Earth. Look up the story.
Really, a pipe that's made out of like a foreign material?
Yes, and they have tried to figure out what the hell it is, and they don't know what it is. And it's got such design to it that somebody had to have put it there.
That's so weird.
What the hell is that? The pyramids is another. You always talk about that.
Stonehenge, another.
How did that happen? I know you could say, oh, they worked more efficiently, but how?
Well, no, they just had massive amount of slaves.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was the death of many.
Still,
Same with the Great Wall of China. That thing's seen from space.
But you still think that they didn't have any extra help? You think that was all?
I mean, that's left up for debate.
The enormity of the project is amazing in and of itself, and the workforce that they had with slaves explains how they were able to do that in the time they were doing it. But what hasn't really been explained is how it lines up perfectly with the solar system. Because if you have unskilled laborers, because you have like mass amount of slaves that aren't like, you know, these astrophysicists trained in modern medicine, but then they have like these things that line up like every 40 years with like the moon in a certain way.
Yes.
And like people that they're like, if we tried to build this today, it would be challenging. Like, it would be expensive. Like, and how the hell did they do that?
But they also didn't have TV or like music
Or Google.
or anything.
So you're
that's
thinking
all
that
you had.
they didn't have the information to be smart enough to do it in a more efficient way? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they absolutely could have, and I don't believe they documented that greatly. I mean, they had hieroglyphics and stuff, and I'm sure they found a lot of stuff. But like at the same time, there's no otherwise we could replicate it aside from just looking at it and trying to replicate it.
You don't think that there's any way, and I'm talking about any of those structures that have been built where they're like, how did this happen back in the day? You don't think that could be alien help with
It
that?
absolutely could. That's what I'm saying. It's up for debate.
I don't want to strong arm you and make you say, no, it's got to be an alien thing.
All right, Bird, it will. All right.
If that's what you believe, I love hearing that.
I'm up for that. It could totally be. It's weird that it's not documented like with blueprints on how they build these things. Why, if they're documenting other stuff, why wouldn't they document that? Especially
part
if you
of
have
it
to
was
have
supposed to be
teams do it.
secret, though, like where the chambers were and all that kind of stuff. So
So
would
that
they have
people couldn't
had?
rob 'em, yeah.
Would they have had documents then? Because they wanted the whole thing to be kept secret. And in fact, the slaves that worked on it, if they knew where the secret chambers, they were killed.
Yeah.
So people couldn't find it. So I think it's possible that it was
They were
it was
buried
human,
with the.
with
So
no help.
with no help?
With no help, I think
It's
it's
all human.
possible. I think it's
Damn it,
very
Vicky.
possible. I'm sorry,
You're off the show.
Because again, I think because we didn't have anything else to rely on, so they just knew about the stars and the
That's the only
alignments
thing out
and
there.
all that
Because-
stuff.
because
That's the only
the-
thing they had to study.
That'd be like leaving me in a room with just a box of crackers for 7 years.
Oh, you know
I
everything
would know
about it.
everything about that cracker. I'd start making up my own little. Is that what you kind of mean? They only had so much to do, with to work with so much stuff. They didn't have a lot of options to work with.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they became complete experts in what they were doing, and they wouldn't. I don't think they would have left documentation because they didn't want people to find out why they did it.
That was somebody had sent. We were talking about how technology boomed out of kind of out of the blue,
yeah.
and they had the same type of answer. Go, well, once they figured one thing out, it led to another thing.
Right.
Which is true. You figure out how to make a pulley, you can now make 20 different things.
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
folding a piece of paper like one fold, two fold, three fold, and it
For sure.
it becomes exponential.
I mean, I'm not shooting it down. Aliens could have easily given us this blueprint to make pyramids, and then humans got greedy and wanted to keep it a secret. That's totally possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my theory. We had help from another species that say, all right, guys, this is what you want to do. Here's some instruments. Have fun. Go nuts. Make some pyramids.
And then humans, like, kept them.
Like everything, we fuck it up.
Yeah.
And you got to remember too, they were built for a specific purpose. They were passionate about that purpose. So when you're passionate about something, you're going to do your very best, and you want it to be the.
You're right.
No, you're bringing
To
up
excel.
Mummifying cats, everything.
Yeah.
You're bringing up great points. To go back on your love spell, let's just for fun and giggles.
Okay.
Let's put one on me and Ryan.
For S's and
Okay,
G's.
well,
Is this a good spell?
I brought 2 that I pulled up. Now
Well-
these were from.
We'll know as we're getting into it if this is full of shit or not.
True love spells
Well,
for singles.
these were pulled off of, I believe, Wiccan sites.
Plenty of fish.
Yeah, these are both from Wiccan spells. Okay, one of them it says the true love spells for singles, and the other one is a full moon love spell. So I brought you all a copy.
Thank you.
We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
have to do it
the
yourself.
first-
Are you able to at least explain it so if people at
Well,
least
I've never done it. I mean, it's no more than just
Yeah.
reading this. You do need a few materials. I could help you with some of these materials.
What's
but
the moon one?
the moon one? You need a red candle, a pink candle, some basil, cinnamon, 2 apple seeds, a moonstone crystal, and a rose
Oh,
quartz.
you got all that stuff, Bird.
Right. And you need
Piece
a
of
red
cake.
piece of cloth, some pink cord or yard.
Oh, is that it?
That's
That's all you
Blood
need.
of a
And
virgin.
Gonna have to get on
a,
Amazon
and a
real
full moon.
quick.
And a full moon.
So that one's time specific. You got time. Next full moon is what I'll look it up.
Okay.
Now, this one is recommended to do, the next one is like right after the full moon. No, it's carried out the week after the new moon, excuse me. And this one you only need rose petals, a white candle, 3 yellow candles, a glass of mint tea.
Oh, dude.
So you can refresh yourself after
I think the
you're done
moon
with
is
this.
waning right now, so we've got some time.
Beckett does not look into it. It sounds so legit. I
It does sound legit. That's like
It
a whole
does.
process. The Wiccans they don't play around.
I almost did abundance checks, which have to do with kind of the law of attraction and the full moon, where you like write this, like you kind of do like a Jim Carrey thing, where you like write what you want in your life on these checks, and then you burn them in the full moon.
It's the secret, man. It all comes back to the power of placebo, dude.
so
Yep.
I think
Positive energy.
I think what the secret does is it just keeps your ass in line. It keeps you working towards your goal in an organized way.
If you think positively,
with passion.
you're gonna attract positiveness, and then you're gonna want to do things because you're positive.
Yeah.
If you're negative, you get a pity party going on. Everybody's
I think when I talk about the secret on the regular show, people think I'm talking about these mystical things. What you just said, I just aligning yourself with a way of thinking.
For sure.
It's not that you're gonna go to a vision board and put a car on that
it's
vision
gonna
board.
appear.
And it's going to appear. No, it keeps your ass in line to do the things you're supposed to be doing to get that done.
if you're playing Mario and you only got 5 lives, you're gonna do your best to get through it because you're striving to get to the end. If you got 100 lives, I mean, you can die 1,000 times. It doesn't even matter.
Right.
So it's like it's almost more worth it to you if you have to work for something. So if you put it up and you see it every day, then it just reminds you that you're working for that.
Because we'll talk about the secret sometimes. Oh, it's mumbo jumbo. And I get why people think it's mumbo jumbo. Just like how there's a misconception when we talk about aliens. Everyone thinks we're always talking about a little Martian that's green, take me to your leader kind of a thing. That's not what I think aliens are. I don't know what the hell aliens are. I think there's, just like humans, I think there's probably more than another species. I mean, more than one species. I meant to say not like humans, like animals. There's different species out there. There's not just one set of aliens.
Right.
Right.
Do
I'd
you
agree with that. I would agree.
You
with
would?
that. Yeah.
And I think there's also levels of. I think there's going to be some intelligent aliens, and there's going to be some mean ones. There's going to be some cool ones. There's going to be some dumb ones.
Totally.
Or is that just a man-made concept? Dumb, stupid, cool, nice.
They might not even have like a physical body. They could literally just be like an
Energy,
entity. An
yeah.
energy. Exactly.
Something that's just I don't know, all knowing and it just gets it done. I don't know.
Just gets shit done.
Just get shit done, man. Did everyone give their homework? Did you give yours?
So mine is that because I'm an animal lover, I was looking into evidence of animals in the afterlife.
Okay.
I ordered a book on Amazon. It's really interesting. Supposedly they discuss like real life stories about animals and proof of it in the afterlife. And I find it interesting because, I brought up on one of the podcasts about how our religion teacher at Pope upset a girl because he said that animals don't go to heaven.
They don't make it, I guess.
They don't make it to heaven for some reason.
Oh my God.
That's big, though.
Oh, that's so big for people to say, well, my dog's not going to heaven.
Yeah. So, and then I found, are we able to put stuff like on the podcast, like if we had like a cool spell or like a website where people could scrutinize it or read it or something?
So just so people know, I think a lot of people don't know that this is on video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we're talking about some of the stuff, in fact, we're getting ready to talk about the Phoenix governor, and Angelica is going to be putting footage on there while we're talking about it. So yeah, anything that you got, let us know, and we'll put it up on the screen.
For sure.
So what I was going to ask Vicky is what they're talking about here. I have no idea what this stands for, but this guy is a doctor and something, and he says a highly experienced leading EVP and ITC investigator from Israel has sent me a wonderful case study about the survival of his cat and his dog. The evidence comes from the communication through ITC, from animal communicators and photos and video received via ITC by a Brazilian researcher, Sonia.
He's basically using equipment to prove that his animal is there. But my question to that is, if he's communicating, how do we know? And again, from a paranormal investigator perception,
You got to debunk it.
yeah. If the animal's communicating and you have evidence on audio and video, is the animal earthbound or really on the other side?
Damn.
So I would question, to me, if I get something here, if I get audio or video evidence, that's because they're here.
Could you
It's
explain
not
that a
they're
little
on the other
bit?
side.
What's the difference between earthbound entity and then other side entity?
Okay. Some people believe, and I say some people because everything's not written in stone.
Sure.
But there are some people that when they pass, they do not go to the other side, whatever your definition of the other side is, because people have multiple definitions. They are what we classify as earthbound. They have not crossed over.
It's like
Why would
it's like a
someone-
purgatory type state?
If you consider earth, because there's also another level that I believe is kind of like what we've been taught as purgatory.
Okay.
That's not exactly earthbound, but it's a kind of purgatory. You could
Could
say.
you just list a couple reasons why someone would stay after they die? Why would they stay on Earth? Is it really because what they say in the movies, they've got unfinished business?
It could be unfinished business. It could be that they're scared about where they're going to go when they go to the other side. Maybe they were very religious and they weren't a very good person. They think they're going to hell if they go over to the other side. There are some people that are so attached to something here, they just refuse to let go. It could be a loved one. It could be even a possession that they were so proud of, and they just refuse to let it go.
Is it that they don't know that they're dead? Is this a sixth sense kind of a thing?
There are some people that believe if a person dies suddenly, they're not aware that they're actually dead, and they continue to go through their everyday life. So when you move into their house, they're trying to get you to move out because to them, it's still their house. They haven't recognized the fact that they are
But
dead.
don't they know though? Okay, if they think they're alive and they see a family moving in and
Right.
they're trying to yell at them and the family's ignoring them, don't they know at that point?
Eventually, they come to the realization that they are deceased.
Got ya.
But when the time came, when the light came and they chose not to go in it, then they have to wait again for something to happen for that light to come back, whether it's somebody to help them cross or if it just comes back because they've done whatever work they need to do.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this is a controversial question. No one has to answer it. Do you believe in hell? Do you believe that there are some people when they die, they go to a very bad place and there's nothing they can do about it?
Well, we were talking on one of the other podcasts about when people see the light, they have that experience. And everybody who has the near-death experience, 99% of them have the same account of what they see. But I've seen accounts where it was like, the movie Ghost, when the one bad guy in the dark
Gets pulled
shadows,
off, yeah.
drag him off. And there are accounts of that as
Yeah.
well as the bright light.
There was a documentary all about near-death experiences, and there was a plane crash, and the guy lived through the plane crash, but he saw people dying on the plane, and he said, now, and you don't know because you weren't there, he said majority of the people on the plane had like a light kind of a feeling to them, and he said a few people had a dark energy coming out of them. Now, this is a guy that was burned. He's literally gone through the
For
shit.
sure.
Concussed.
He's seen some stuff. He was in the plane crash, but he said, "Yeah, I go," and they weren't happy about it. There was like you say it in Ghost, but he did see light energy as well.
Right.
But do you think someone with bad energy, dark energy, can they correct it, or is it? What if we were talking about serial killers. What if you're a person that your entire life you were just screwed over, and you're just so wired, and that's how you were grown up. You were raised, and you were tortured. You are just terrible, and it was all from your childhood. Wouldn't a spiritual entity have a little bit of sympathy for that?
Well, some people believe that there is just the other side. They don't distinguish between heaven and hell. So some people would say that person would go to the other side, and then they would have to do things in order to learn the lessons they should have here on earth, in order to make amends for what they've done before they can go to another level and have more freedom.
So you got sent as community service hours.
Yeah, I mean, it almost sounds like summer school almost. You got to come back and redo the credits.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's an interesting theory, but again, a lot of these theories that we talk about, these are human condition theory. This is the way a human brain thinks. Oh, if you mess up, you go back and you fix it and blah, blah, blah. You know, are these theories that have any weight to them with proof?
With proof, not that I can. I mean, there were these books written by a psychic. Her name is Linda Alice Dewey. And,
I've heard of her.
Yeah. And so her books are about people who have died and didn't cross over immediately. One of them in particular was about a slave named Jacobs who, when he passed away, he went to the other side and he was a shadow person.
We've
So
talked
he
about
was
that.
forced. He was forced to be here on Earth and go around with the other shadow people, and all they did was negative things. And so one day he saw a little girl, I think, that was getting ready to be attacked by somebody. So he used all his energy to try to interact with this person that was going to attack her, and he was able to stop the attack. And then he decided, you know what? I don't want to hang out with these negative shadow people. So he, still on Earth, he started to do good things, started to help people. And one day he looked down and he was lighter. And he was no longer that dark shadow person. And then in the book, it gets a little more complicated because then he goes to Linda Alice Dewey, who claims that she can help them cross over. And then once they cross over, they come back to tell the story, and that's how she wrote the 2 books. But
And she's claiming this is a real thing.
she's claiming it's a real thing, and she actually crossed him before it was his time to cross him, and he ended up in what is like a green room, kind of like a waiting room.
It's kind of
'cause he
really,
wasn't
by the
supposed
way,
to
this
go
guy
over.
really got screwed over in every dimension,
for
it
sure.
seems
Yeah,
like.
yeah. So, and then eventually he was able to work through that and move on.
To a better, happier
Yeah.
place. Do you think when people move on, it's what they think the idea of moving on is? For example, I've got an idea in my head when I die, what I think might happen. Is that what I'm going to see? Or, I mean, and then I'm just asking what
Yeah.
your opinions are. There's no answer here.
Right.
What do you think happens?
I mean, I've been shown different things as to what happens. I've been shown that we have work to do, either on the other side. I think that if you leave a loved one behind, you're allowed to come back almost immediately until that person passes.
But would your if you die or if Beckett dies, would you guys experience the same type of thing? Or is
Probably not. I think it's individual.
Beckett's gonna kind of experience it kind of the way he thinks he would see it.
Correct.
Is that kind of the messages you would get sometimes?
Yeah. Because it's all different for each person that I see. Now, I have never been shown anyone on the other side that was actually in hell.
Okay.
Okay, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and I'm not claiming that that's what I'm saying, but I've never been shown hell.
And all these questions that we're talking about and these philosophies, it's really just opinions and theories.
Right.
For sure.
What are your thoughts, Dennys?
About
On just hell?
Well, so my only discrediting, my only discrediting for that airplane story you were talking about is that when you're going down in a plane, you're breathing oxygen, so that would interact like how you're
Hallucinating
perceiving
and-
everything going on. And as far as what people say when they see somebody cross over, or if somebody passes on and they see the white light, I mean, you're taught that from like birth. So I mean, that's of course the go-to for every single
A man-made
person.
concept again.
And the same with going to hell. You're here, you know, if you're like deep down inside, you're like, oh man, I've been kind of a dick. You're going to go to hell, and it's going to be a darker thing for you. You're going to perceive it, I'd imagine. So, I mean, it's kind of tough. I had a buddy when I was in not middle school, high school. He overdosed, and he died. And then, like, 5 minutes later, they brought him back to life or something. It was some amount of time.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. And he was a pretty just low to the ground type dude. And what was weird to me was that he did say he saw those things. And he's usually not a person for any sort of paranormal, any sort of
Yeah.
crazy things. So that always stuck with me.
You know, people always will. I'm so obsessed with those near-death experiences. I feel like, you know, those people, and I apologize, I think I've said this before, but when they come back from that experience, like you were saying, a lot of them say the same thing, and they just can't sweat the small stuff anymore. They won't do it. It's
But
like,
you wonder if they see that and that
It
vision
clicks.
is so profound for them that then they realize, you know, how fragile life is, and
Yes.
that can change a person deep down inside.
and the naysayers will say, it's that weird, you know, when they say when you're dying, you kind of slip into a euphoric.
well, that's your body releasing dopamine.
But
into
isn't that an
your-
easy way for a cynic to say, no, you didn't see shit. None of that works. Isn't that
Right.
easy? That's a cop out on their end, too.
Well, I imagine dying's painful, so your body is realizing it's shutting down, so it's secreting things into your brain to probably ease you slightly as you're passing on. I mean, I'm not trying to be pessimistic or anything.
No. But that is what people who say, look, those NDEs are what they're called, the near-death experience people. That's great they have that moment, but all that is their brain doing the wiring towards the end
And I'm
of the
not trying
run.
to,
Dude, don't
say that
apologize.
that's not real.
Yeah.
That could absolutely happen. I imagine that you see things as a coping mechanism, and if you come back, then you're humbled from the experience, I would imagine.
Your
Would
thoughts
cause you to.
on hell, Beckett? Can you get into that?
Yeah.
Too controversial?
No.
Controversial?
Hell, I have a tough time. I have an easier time, maybe because I'm an eternal optimist, an easier time believing in heaven than I do hell. I just, we talked about believing in a higher power, whether that's Christian or Jewish or whatever. Like, a lot of people believe in a higher power. Even if they're a science person, they believe that there's something out there bigger than us, So I just have a tough time believing that if you believe in a creator and a higher power, someone is that way where they would put you in hell for eternity. I just, and I also, studying Christianity and being raised Christian, I also have a tough time believing, because I'm probably going to get some hate mail on this, but the Christianity, from the most part, like, if you ask for forgiveness before you die, then you're saved.
The repenting.
You're repenting. So, if I killed 10 people and I'm like, oh, I'm genuinely sorry, please forgive me, then all of a sudden you're going to heaven. And what if the guy just got he knew he was dying, he was able to ask for forgiveness, and the guy that got like sideswiped by a car that didn't know he was dying, like, all of a sudden he didn't have that opportunity to feel remorseful? I don't know. It just doesn't line up with what I would expect out of a higher power.
This doesn't seem fair.
No,
The whole thing
not
just
at all.
doesn't seem fair.
And somebody asked me too, they're like, why do you guys talk? You guys, I thought this was about aliens and ghosts and stuff. I don't see how you can't talk about afterlife when we're talking about things like demons and near-death experiences. I mean, I think it's all, I want this podcast to be something where we can talk about anything.
Yeah.
And there should be no backlash about
What
it.
I
I
think-
love the difference of opinions.
What I think is great about this podcast is we have difference of opinions. We sometimes agree, but we talk about things we would talk about, like if we were hanging out at Denny's house, like,
Absolutely.
hitting the
Yeah.
vaporizer.
We'll get real deep there.
We gotta go soon. I did want to at least just really quick. I forgot to ask this question. Have you ever heard of a ghost or a spirit murdering somebody?
I myself have been scratched.
Really?
Twice. Yeah. I haven't particularly come across a case that I can verify where a spirit has done that, but I think that they can create an atmosphere where someone could hurt themselves.
Accident kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think we got to go. we went about an hour today. We didn't even get to everything that's going
we'll get
on.
to 'em all.
But thank you to everybody who's sending emails. I mean, we are getting a lot of emails, and we just can't get to them all. So thank you. Please continue to send them, because what we're doing is we're taking some of the stuff that's in the email and we're discussing it. And if we're not giving you credit, we really apologize. But it's a good problem to have.
Totally.
People are tuning in, so that's a very good thing. And I also
Awesome.
want to welcome Vicky to the team.
Does that mean I get to hang out at Denny's house now?
Yeah.
You just
You
mentioned
totally
that.
can. I got a beanbag. I'm ready.
Everybody's welcome. Someone, the one email you had, didn't you have an email? Someone that wanted to hear the song.
So yeah, we have this cool alien song, which is actually the one we opened the podcast with and we closed the podcast with. But the guys never heard the whole song, so if you want to hear it, we'll tag out the show with it.
Thank you guys for listening. We love you all. Keep those emails coming. Next week, let's start talking about us going out some ghost hunting.
Okay.
Let's go.
on it.
Let's go to the biggest haunts that we're allowed to get in, or you might have some.
I got some connections.
All right, beautiful. Okay, we love you all, and Bigfoot is real.
What was that? What? What's that living in your town.